Hi, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, namaskaram, vanakkam. Welcome to our weekly Zoom show on this Sunday, 21st November 2021. நம்மளாம் காக்காக்கு சாதம் போடுறோம், குருவி புறா மற்ற பறவைகளுக்கெல்லாம் நிறைய தானியம் போடுறோம். நம்ம தப்போல நிறைய மயில்லாம் இருக்கு, நம்ம கிரவுண்ட் நட்ஸ், ட்ரைடு கிரேப்ஸ் எல்லாம் போடுறோம். நிறைய பறவைகள்லாம் இருக்கு, நிறைய சத்தம் போடுறது, மேக் லாட் ஆஃப் நாய்ஸஸ். Now, how do we identify them? Are we doing the right thing by feeding the birds? How, as human beings, we are supposed to treat the birds? How, as human beings, we are supposed to behave with the birds? To answer all these questions, we have a special guest joining us from Mumbai, Kaustubh Srikant. Kaustubh is a wildlife enthusiast, animal activist, and an avid bird watcher. He will tell us and he will give us tips what we are supposed to follow. He will also tell us what we are not supposed to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, we start the show with a prayer, after which we'll have a guest introduction. Thereafter, the guest speaker takes over and all his interaction. And on his completion, we'll have a question answer session. And finally, we wrap it up with a vote of thanks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's set the ball rolling. Coming up first is a prayer by Mrs. Nirmala Gopala Krishnan. Nirmala Mami, kindly unmute pannittu paadungo.
Good evening. Anushamtanil udita Advaita Murtiye Anushamtanil udita Advaita Rupane Anudinam Panikindro Arulmalar Taruvaye Anushamtanil udita Advaita Rupane Anudinam Panikindro அருள்மழை தருவாயே அனுஷம்தனில் உதித்த சித்தாகி சிவமாகி சின்மய ரூபனாகி சித்தாகி சிவமாகி சின்மய ரூபனாகி சத்தியம் தழைக்க வந்த சங்கர தேவனே சித்தாகி சிவமாகி சின்மய ரூபனாகி சத்தியம் தழைக்க வந்த சங்கர தேவனே அனுஷம்தனில் உதித்த அத்வைத ரூபனே அனுதினம் படுகின்றோம் அருள்மறை தருவாயே அனுஷம்தனில் உதித்த அத்வைத ரூபனே சந்திரமௌலீஸ்வரரே கருணையால் அவதரித்தாய் சந்திரமௌலீஸ்வரரே கருணையால் அவதரித்தாய் சந்திரசேகர சரஸ்வதி குருநாகனாக வந்தார் சந்திரமௌலீஸ்வரரே கருணையால் அவதரித்தாய் சந்திரசேகர சரஸ்வதி குருநாதனாக வந்தார் காமகோடி பீடத்தில் நீ அமர்ந்து ஆக்ய செய்தாய் காமகோடி பீடத்தில் நீ அமர்ந்து ஆக்ய செய்தாய் வாஞ்சையுடன் வருபவர்க்கே வாரி வாரி அருள் புரிவாய் வாஞ்சையுடன் வருபவர்க்கே வாரி வாரி அருள் புரிவாய் அனுஷம்தனில் உதித்த அத்வைத ரூபனே அனுதினம் படுகின்றோம் அருள்மலர் தருவாயே அனுஷம்தனில் உதித்த அத்வைத ரூபனே.
Thank you, Nirmala Mami. That was an awesome rendition. I hope the gods will be pleased and give some relief to the people in South Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh from the flood. Coming up next is the guest introduction. Mrs. Uma Anantaramakrishnan will do the honors. She is joining us all the way from Bharuch. Uma madam, kindly unmute and go ahead.
எல்லாருக்கும் மாலை வணக்கம். இன்றைக்கு பேச போகிறவர் Kaustubh Srikant. இவர் நமக்கு புதிதில்லை. நமது தேவகி மாமியுடைய பேரன். ஆனால் அவர் பேச போவது முற்றும் புதிதான தலைப்பு. Feather friends. அதாவது ரெக்கைகள் உள்ள நண்பர்கள். By education, he is a wildlife biologist. இவர் நிறைய வெளியிட்டிருக்கிறது, அதாவது பப்ளிகேஷன் செய்து இருக்கிறார். He is a co-author of famous book called Birds in Your Backyard and Beyond. அதாவது கொல்லைப்புறத்து பறவைகளும் அதற்கு அப்பாற் பெற்றதும். He has represented in summit held at Finland on this subject. At present, he is the founder of the Wild Connect, connecting people with interest in wildlife biodiversity. He is also active with a Singaporean firm as a consultant, working in the area of wildlife crime. Even in India, he is engaged with organizations like Wildlife Welfare Association, அதாவது வனவிலங்கு நல சங்கம், and environmental education. So we are going to hear a different topic today, and all of us going to enjoy it. Thank you very much. Over to Shri.
Thank you, madam, for a wonderful introduction, a detailed and informative introduction you have given. It's time for the guest to take over. We request all of us to keep the mic in mute status so that we do not interfere with the thought process of the speaker. Kaustubh Srikant, the floor is all yours now.
Thank you so much, everyone, for all your love and support in organizing this. And special thanks to Subramaniam Mama. I may not be able to explain things in Tamil because the Tamil konjo da pesarthukku puriyum enakku. Pesarthukku theriyum enakku. So I will try and speak as much as I can in English, but very simple words. And if you all are not able to understand, please do ask your questions in Tamil. I do understand Tamil konjo, but I do have Devki Party, I do have my mom to also support me in terms of understanding Tamil and helping you answer those queries as well. To support my talk today on your background, on your local feathered friends or your birds in your backyard, basically, I'm also going to try and share my screen so that you all can have a visual experience of the different birds around you. Please feel free to stop me at any point of time to ask any questions that you may have. Apart from that, we always have the question and answer session towards the end, so you can always ask me questions there itself. What I'm also going to do somewhere midway is I'm going to request all of you all to also turn on your videos and audios so that we can try and mimic some of the sounds that birds make around us, right? So it's going to be a fun session. Try and laugh, try and hold on to your seat, observe the birds around, and you may be able to relate to some of them and just have an absolute amazing experience. Okay, if you can just give me, okay, I hope everyone can see the screen.
Yes, yes.
All right. Okay, so just before I begin, just give you a simple understanding on the concept that is called bird watching. So often people use the term bird watching or birding. Now, what is bird watching or birding? It is simple. If you just observe birds around you, if you're just looking at birds around you, it may be while drinking a sip of, while drinking tea, while drinking milk, while having a biscuit, while having lunch, anything, if you just look at kaka kurvi, that is also bird watching. So absolutely anything around you, if you're just observing behavior, trying to draw them, listen to the sounds, all of that is just termed together as bird watching. Now, what is the benefits of bird watching? It, in a way, would increase your lifespan because it gives a nice smile onto your face when you listen to different bird sounds. It is absolutely inexpensive. You don't have to spend thousands of rupees or dollars, anything. You just have to sit at your backyard in front of your garden or in front of any plant or tree that's around you, you may see mile there, you may see any kind of bird just moving around making sounds. So it's absolutely inexpensive. And why I say it's a cool hobby is I used to use this term saying that, you know what, I'm doing bird watching. It's a very cool hobby. So when I had to make friends in my college life or school life, I used to tell them, you know what, I'm a bird watcher. It makes me very interesting. It makes me look more cool as a person. So in a way, it's just trying to say that I'm a cool person. So if you want to be with me, you get a chance to do bird watching as well. So you can just portray that as a cool hobby. So if you like to sing, you can sing. You can also listen to bird sounds. At the same time, you can make this as a new hobby of just observing and sitting and observing different birds around you. Now, when you're doing bird watching, before you do bird watching, right, you need to remember 4 different points. Well, first point is the habitat. So if you're going to look for a bird, say if you're looking for a bird that is found in gardens or is found in forests, you can't go to a desert. You can't go to Sahara or Thar desert and say, I want to look at this bird, right? You want to look at that particular habitat, then only you will be able to see the birds around you. So you can't see, can you, okay, you only try and tell me, you see peacocks and maybe peacocks or crows around you. Can you see that same bird in Mount Everest, in Himalayas, or in Sahara desert or Thar desert? You can't see. So it is important that you select that habitat, and based on that habitat, you will be able to know which are the birds you want to see. Next thing is similarly food. If you want to see a bird which can be feeding on fish, example, a kingfisher, you want to try and be around a wetland kind of habitat, and you know that this bird feeds on fish. But this bird is not going to feed on grains like how a pigeon will feed on. So it is important at the same time you note what is the kind of food that the bird eats. So if you know the habitat, you know the food, then you will be able to filter and recognize the birds better around you. Same way season. There are some birds which are found during the winter season, some birds that are found during rains, some birds that are found during summers. So based on the seasons, if you know what kind of bird you're wanting to look at. So if I'm wanting to see a bird like a quail, everyone knows the quail. Coo, it makes a very nice sound, right? So if I am right now in Tamil Nadu, and if I'm wanting to see the bird quail, I will probably see it around this time. I will probably see it around Jan, February, March as well. Why? Because that bird is a resident there and is visiting around that place during that time. But if I am sitting in Delhi, if I'm sitting in Rajasthan, if I want to see this bird, then I will be able to see this bird only probably between March to about June, July, because that is a summer visitor to that place in Delhi, right? And then time. If I want to see birds, lots of birds in number, then probably morning 6:30 lende around 9:30, I will manage to see about 15 to 20 birds. But if I go really hot in the afternoon, around 11:30, 12:30 in the afternoon, then I will not get to see much of birds because their activity time is reduced. You will not see them making too many sounds, and probably they've gone more into their bush, more to sleep, or more into a shady area where they can rest well because it's very hot. So when you make a note of these points, you will be able to learn more about birds and their behaviors better. And then the most important thing, whenever you're starting this new activity called bird watching, it may seem very interesting to see birds around you, right? The moment you're trying to see birds around you, remember you don't want to carry any expectations with you. Say tomorrow morning, oh, Kaustubh introduced me to this new bird watching hobby. So I'm going to start bird watching tomorrow in my daily walking routine. So I will go from morning 7 to 7:30 for a nice walk to see different birds. Kaustubh has introduced me to 10 different birds around. Probably, tomorrow morning when you're going, it may not be very active for a lot of birds. So if you're carrying that expectation that I will see 10 birds and you don't see any birds, then you'll say, Kaustubh introduced me to this useless hobby and I don't get to see birds at all. So probably only when Kaustubh comes and visits me, I will manage to see these birds. So don't carry that expectation. If you go expectation free, you will be able to see more birds, and anything that comes in front of you is more like a surprise, right? And always carry that enthusiasm. Iniki, I'm going to learn something new. today I'm going to see something new, or probably I'm just going to enjoy a different kind of walk at Tapovan, right? So you want to try and enjoy any walk around you and go free with your mind, just go free with your heart, and don't try and carry any expectations, and you will have an amazing exploration itself of different birds possibly around you. Now, the birds that I'm going to be introducing you are not only commonly seen in Tapovan, but are common almost throughout India or the Indian subcontinent. So if you're sitting in India anywhere, you will be able to see most of these birds that I'm talking to you. One of the most common ones is the black kite that you can see in your picture in front of you on the screen. Now, this particular bird is like the eagles or vultures that you may see, but you don't see eagles and vultures around you. It's a different group of birds called kites, right? Now, these kites can be identified with the fork-like tail or the V-shaped tail that it has when it flies, right? And it's very common. You can see them sitting on coconut trees, palm trees around you, or on wires. So this is the most common big bird that you can see around you. Apart from that, it's more of the smaller birds that you may get to see. So let's get to understand some of them better, right? The first bird that I'm going to introduce you is kaka, or your house crow that you all know, right? Everyone knows kaka. It's very, very simple, black in color, very easily able to identify them. Now, the question is, when you see a crow, you see two types of crows around you. One is a house crow and one is a jungle crow. Now, if you just look at the image, you will be able to differentiate both of them. The house crow will have a grayish neck all the way up to the belly, while the jungle crow is completely black in color. Jungle crow is a bit larger in size. At the same time, it has a more harsh or a hoarse call that it may sound, right? So we all know how does a kaka make sound. Everyone knows crow. How does a crow make sound? Can someone try and tell me how does a crow make sound? Fantastic, right? So a simple ka, that's more like a house crow that you will hear. But a deeper sound, when you try and make a deeper sound, or probably today morning when I had a cold, I had a more harsh or a hoarse kind of sound, right? So that's what the sound, if I'm trying to say ka, that's the kind of sound you will hear from a jungle crow, a more deeper one, right? Now, both of them look very ferocious. And it's a myth when they say when there are a lot of crows around in your house, it's known to be a bad omen. So that's a complete myth. Don't ever think that, crows around you is a bad sign. It's an absolute beautiful bird, even though it's just black in color. They are our scavenger friends. They help in cleaning the areas around us. So they are literally our friendly neighborhood backyard birds, right? So you can give a nice clap for your very special birds, the cleaners of the city, your house crow and your jungle crow itself, right? Okay, moving forward to this very interesting thing about doves and pigeons. Now, we all know doves and pigeons, very commonly seen around us. To your left, you can see the very common kabutar or the pigeon that we all say. It's called the Indian rock pigeon. And towards the right is what you are seeing is the spotted dove. Why it's called spotted dove is because it has spots throughout its neck, right? Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail of how do you identify both of them because both are commonly seen around in Tapovan. But one simple difference I'm going to ask, what is the difference between dove and pigeons? Can someone tell me the difference between dove and pigeons? Anything based on the picture, what can you differentiate?
Size is different. Size will be different.
Size, okay. Doves are a bit smaller or slender in size compared to what pigeons are. Pigeons are a bit more fatter. What's the second kind of difference?
The neck.
Color.
Okay, not really color. Anyone else? Any other thought?
Food habits.
Long tail.
Very good. Doves have a longer tail, but pigeons have a short tail. Okay, so two very important differences that you all have observed. Now, the third very important difference is if you look at the feathers. So doves actually have much softer feathers compared to what pigeons have. The reason being, can anyone guess why do doves have a softer feather, have soft feathers while pigeons have more of a rough kind of feather? Anyone can guess?
Is it because of the height?
This is the terrain.
No, you don't need to break your head on this or worry too much about it. It is very simple. It's because,
climate?
no, it's because doves use dove soap. That's why they have softer feathers. Okay, everyone knows about dove soap, right? Now, please, when you're going to try and tell someone or educate someone about doves, please don't go and tell them that doves have softer feathers because they use dove soap. They don't use dove soap. So if doves and pigeons have to clean themselves, they simply rub mud over their feathers. That's what they call as dusk bath or a dust bath. That's how they clean their feathers. They don't use dove soap. So it was more to, yes, make you laugh, and hopefully you'll get interested in this topic, right? Now, moving forward, you may see these two types of bulbuls near you, okay? Now, to my left is a bird which is brown in color, has a black head, but has a red color bum. So when I tell my appa, when I tell my dad about this bird, he always says, oh, this is red bum bulbul, right? So yes, you can remember this bird as red bum bulbul, but when you're telling someone, when you're telling a child, when you're telling uncle or auntie, then they say red bum bulbul, that sounds very vulgar. So Adhikada, you want to try and mention the right name, right? So the right name is that particular part of the bird is called vent, V-E-N-T. So the name of the bird is red vented bulbul because of the red color vent that it has. Now, the second bird that you see is a bit more handsome. Why? Because it's put nice gel and made spikes, just like what I've tried to do today. So it's more probably tried to, impress its girlfriend or wife that it may have. And that's why it has some nice spikes. Apart from that, it also has the same red color vent near the vent area that you may see. It's not so prominent like this one, but it also has the red vent. So today, because I'm coming up with a new movie, I can't call the same bird as red vented bulbul 2.0, right? So I have to give a new name to the bird. I have to give a different name, right? So if I see, probably because of the nice spiky look that it has, it looks more handsome. And that's why it's also probably blushing when someone says, oh, you look handsome. So it's got this nice red color cheek as well. Now that particular part of the bird is called whisker. So that's why this bird is named red whiskered bulbul. Now you can see both of these birds around you, and they are frugivores, or your fruit eating birds. They love to feed on fruits, right? Now moving on to the next thing, if you go near cropping areas, if you go near domestic animals such as buffaloes, cows, or near cow sheds, you may get to see this particular bird, which is called the cattle egret. Now these birds would usually sit and get a free ride on a lot of cattle because they get to pick on the mites and insects that may be there on these cattle itself. It's actually a white color bird with a nice yellowish orange beak and yellow feet. But during the breeding season, mainly around March to about June, you will see the bird's head and body completely become orangish in color itself. And it's a very nice colored bird that time. Apart from that, it's a mainly white colored bird, so you may not really find it very attractive compared to the other colorful birds that you may see, right? And if you're wondering how this bird may sound, it doesn't have a great sound, so I'm not trying to tell you much about it. It will probably sound something like when it flies, it will make something like that, right? And then you may see this particular bird, which looks like a crow, but is actually a very interesting bird. Why? Because it is actually a type of brood. It's a type of actually very similar to what quail is, right? So quails actually don't lay eggs in their nest. They don't make a nest itself. But these birds are unlike quails. They are unlike cuckoos. They are more like the false cuckoos. Why? Is because you will see them make their nest. You will see them raise their own young ones, unlike the other cuckoos like your quails, which will not raise your young ones. And this is called a greater cowquill. You can see a rufous color or a brownish color wing, a glossy black color body, a much longer tail, red color eye, and a very interesting thing, the way it makes it sound is something scary. So early morning, you may hear something like whoop, 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 whoop. That's the kind of sound that your greater cowquill can make, right? Moving on to the next similar bird, again very similar to that of your house crow, is a rufous tree pie or your Indian tree pie. It has a long tail, rufous color body, and again, a bit of a brownish red color eye. But this bird is again very interesting because it feeds on fruits, feeds on insects, and feeds on chicks of other birds as well. And the way this one will make sound would be something like or truke, truke, truke. That's the kind of bird that bird sound that it will actually make. Right? Any questions so far? Any of you all have?
Carry on, please.
Everyone's okay, able to understand? All right. Moving on to the next one is your yellow-billed babbler. Now, yellow-billed babbler has a pale color head around on its head and a more of a dusky brownish color body. So you'll be able to separate the color between the head and the body. Now, these ones are typical insect-eating birds. So they have a beak which is very small, but when it opens up, it's like a bug net or an insect net, right? So they're insectivores or your insect-eating birds. Now, why I've highlighted this bird is because this is something that you can see in Tapovan, but in a group of 6 to 7, right? So in Hindi and English, we often use the term Saath Bhai or Saath Behan or 7 brothers or 7 sisters because they move in that particular group, right? They are more of a subspecies of this bird called jungle babbler, which is more common throughout the country. So these birds are more found in southern parts of India itself. This one is your yellow-billed babbler, which is a subspecies of the common resident throughout India, which is jungle babbler. Now, the way this guy makes sound is because it's a very social bird, right? So when it's in a group of 6 to 7, it will make a sound something like something like an orchestra that you will actually hear. But when it is single, when it is solitary, and if it's trying to communicate with another bird or probably you, so early morning, if you plan to step out outside, you know, for your early morning chai or coffee that you may have, you may see this bird and it may actually try and give you some social updates, right? So I've joined Instagram, I've joined Facebook. Oh, I'm going to be flying to Mumbai next month. So it may try to, you know, give you some updates like that. And if you're not listening or paying attention, it will try doing something which will grab your attention. So something like, that's the kind of sound it will make. And unlike your birds like crow or sparrows that you may actually see walking around, this bird is not able to walk probably on both the legs properly. So you'll only see it hop from one place to the other because its legs are so closely joined. Has anyone seen this bird? Very colorful blue color bird with a nice red lipstick. Anyone seen this bird?
Yes,
Yeah,
Many of these birds, right? Now, this is a typical fish-eating bird. It's called white-throated kingfisher because it has a nice white color throat. It's not kingfisher because it drinks beer, okay? It's a kingfisher because it's an expert in hunting fish. And now it's known not only to hunt fish, but it is also known to hunt spiders, insects, other birds, snakes, frogs, lizards, absolutely anything. So it's adapted from staying around in wetlands to living around us, living in urban areas because of the amount of food that it may get. So you may get to see this very, very interesting bird, and it nicely carries a very beautiful red color lipstick beak, right? I'll talk to you more about the beak and feet of birds a bit later. Now, if you want to know how this bird makes its sound, you want to try and make the action something like this, right? So you can hear me once and then you can try and repeat it by unmuting yourselves. Okay, the bird is more like trying to say that, oh, I found this unique key, right? So if I found a unique key to this lock, to a rare treasured lock, what will I try and say? That's what the bird tries and says. So it will say something like, key, 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 I've got the key, right? So it will try and make the sound in that fashion, but a bit more Tyagaraja style, or a bit more, you can say, Anu Malik style, or, you know, Arijit Singh style. So in a more surili awaz, in a more sweet kind of sound, it will try and make sound. Something like, That's the kind of sound it can make. Can someone try and mimic the way I tried to do? Can someone try and make the sound? So you just have to say ki, ki, ki with a nice bright smile. Okay, so something like ki, 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 ki. Fantastic, guys. Fantastic. Awesome. Okay, moving on to the next one. I'm introducing you to this very rare bird. It's called the emerald dove because of the emerald color it has on it. But I'm introducing you because you should know your state bird. It's the state bird of Tamil Nadu. And because you should know about it, I'm talking to you about it. It's a very beautiful bird, very rare bird to see around in Tapovan. But if you probably go around near the hills or the Annamalai hills in Coimbatore, you may end up seeing this particular bird. And then I'm going to introduce you to some of these vocalists. Now, these vocalists are absolute fantastic singers. And not only that they are fantastic singers, but they also happen to be the national bird of Bangladesh. Now imagine national bird of Bangladesh, just black and white. Why? Because it's so interesting because of the way it probably sings. So to the left, a bit grayish and white is the female, and to the right, which is black and white, glossy black and white, is the male. And why they are vocalists is because they can mimic, they make wonderful sounds, and they are absolute fantastic songsters. So they will whistle very nicely. So something like, so if you hear something like this early morning, you know this is your bird who's actually trying to sing, right? So it's your Oriental magpie robin or the Indian magpie robin, and you can just look around for this black and white bird around you. And then introducing you to the special birds that I think most of you all already know, which is the Asian quail and your rose ring parakeet. Now, Asian quail, male and female, I'm sure most of you all have seen, but I've put the photo to just differentiate between the male and female. So not all birds you can differentiate between the male and females easily. Example, you can't differentiate between a bulbul male and female, or a crow male and female, or maybe a pigeon male and female. But what you can differentiate is between quail male and female. Now, unfortunately, 90% birds of males, 90% male birds are more colorful or beautiful compared to the female birds. But no doubted, without any doubts, no matter what, no matter how colorful or beautiful they may be, they have to do whatever it can to try and impress the female. So sorry, males. Unfortunately, we are the ones who have to try and, attract the females or impress the females, but the female won't do anything except listen to the male or try and get impressed, right? No offense to the males and females here, but just trying to make it interesting, right? How you can differentiate between the male and female here is the male will have a palish yellow color beak, right? And it has red color eyes and a glossy black color feather throughout its body. But the female will be similar in terms of the beak, where it has the yellowish pale color beak, but red color eye. And what you can differentiate between the male and female is that the female will have a brown color body, a bit longer tail, and white spots throughout the body as well, right? It's mainly the male that will be more vocal. Can someone tell how is the sound of the Asian quail? Can someone make the sound of it?
Cuckoo. Cuckoo.
Very nice. Can someone make it a bit more, a bit more interesting and longer? Very nice. Very nice. Our singer Mami is here. Gopala Mami, right? Yes. Gopala Mami is making some fantastic quail sounds. So,
Mami.
Yes. Sorry. So yes, please, if you're feeling shy, if you're not wanting to turn on your videos or mics, that's okay. That's understandable. But do try and practice that sitting behind the screen and being on mute itself. You can just try and practice that at your houses or homes itself.
Is this the same?
I can't see that very clearly, but it looks to be
Spotted? White spotted?
yes, white spots throughout. Yeah, it looks to be the female.
So it is around our place,
Yes, it's very commonly seen around coo. It will make that very nice sound, right? And then the next bird around you is the rose-ringed parakeet. Now, this is the most common parakeet that you will find throughout India. Now, why I'm saying parakeet is because we call these birds parakeets. We don't call them parrots. In India, you find only one parrot, which is called the vernal hanging parrot. That is again found in parts of Coimbatore, Kerala, and Western Ghats. That's only one parrot in India. The rest of the birds that you see in India, which are green in color, have long tails, are actually parakeets. Now, why I'm saying parakeets is because parrots is a very big group under which you have parrots itself, you have parakeets, you have macaws, lorikeets, etc. Right? So in India, everything that is green in color has long tail.
Srikant,
Parakeets. Yes.
Srikant, your right side of that, what is it, presentation, it's my thing is blocking, I could not see the full picture.
Can you see it now?
Can you just move it still a bit left to my screen?
1 second. Can you see it now?
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So in the male of the rose ring parakeet, you can see a nice rose color ring on its neck. Gale ka patta bolte hai Hindi mein. Okay. Now this particular rose like ring can only be seen in the males. In the females, you don't see that particular ring, right? What you may also see is another type of parakeet, which is a bit bigger in size, right? But has a red color birthmark on the wings. Now that particular parakeet is Alexandrine parakeet, which is more known to mimic human voices as well, right? But unfortunately, a lot of these birds are kept as pets because they make different sounds, they make mimicking sounds, and they are very nice and cute to keep. But as per the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, which is the main act that protects birds and wildlife in India, you're not supposed to keep any wildlife in India in a particular cage unless you have a particular permission for the same. So you can't keep any wildlife in India as pet with you. You need to ensure you have permission for the same, or else best not to keep any of these birds as pets. They are best to be left free so that you can enjoy and explore different behaviors that they may exhibit. Moving on to the next, you may see some of these very tiny birds as well around you. They are your pollinator friends. To my left are the purple-rumped sunbird, male and female. Now, purple-rumped sunbird is more commonly seen throughout central and southern parts of India. They may look like hummingbirds, but they are not hummingbirds. Hummingbirds are seen only in North and South America. What you see in Asia throughout and Australia are sunbirds. Now, these sunbirds are very, very colorful. So the male is purple, maroon in color. If you can see the back, this particular part where the purple color is more prominent is called rump of the bird. So that's why the bird's name is purple rumped sunbird. The female is more of olive green, but has a yellowish color belly. Now you may see them early morning feeding on the nectar in flowers. And that's why I call them pollinator friends, because they pollinate from one place to the other. And they are very important pollinators, just like bees around us, right? The next bird that you may see is actually a celebrity bird, right? It loves to, it's probably India's biggest fan of Juhi Chawla. If you've heard of this actress, very beautiful actress called Juhi Chawla, this bird is a very famous fan of Juhi Chawla. Why is that? Is because of the sound it actually makes. Now the common tailor bird, why is it called tailor bird? Is because it stitches leaves around to make its nest. So it makes its nest by stitching different leaves. That's why it's called the tailor bird. But you may not get to see it very commonly because it's very tiny, it's green in color, so perfectly camouflaged, but you may get to hear it. So if you hear it, you will know why it is the biggest fan of Juhi Chawla, because it keeps calling out something like Juhi, 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 something like that, right? So Juhi, 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 that's the kind of sound it will make early morning or late evenings. It's again an insect eating bird. So you may get to see this very nicely if you hear it or just follow the sound it makes. Yeah, Juhi, 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 Juhi. That's the kind of sound it will make. Now moving on to the next, when I'm talking about vocalists, I have to introduce you to the specialist or the mimicry specialist that I like to say. And this one is none other than the black drongo, which is known to mimic close to about 25 to 28 birds in India. And you can recognize it by the fish-like tail or the fork-like tail it has, completely black in color, and has a white color birthmark kind of rectal spot just behind the beak, right? Now, why I say this bird is a mimicry specialist is because of the behavior that it actually, tries to exhibit. It's a very territorial bird. It likes to, take control of its habitat completely. And this particular bird, what it would do is it will invite everyone for a nice Sunday brunch or a Sunday snack time. And it will say, oh, you can find a lot of insects here. You can find a lot of beaks here. You can have, nice water everywhere around. And then, once it's not comfortable, once it, starts saying, okay, it's time for you all to go. I want to spend my time in my own tree. So please leave around here. Don't be here for a longer time. And then the other bird says, "Arey, what you're saying much here, black drongo, this is a perfect spot for me. I love to enjoy this place. I want to be there longer here." And then what the bird will do, in order to chase away these birds from the area because it's getting bored, it will go to the side and try and mimic the sound of a predator bird that is there around, which is called shikra. So it will probably try and mimic the shikra's call to scare away the other birds. So if the other birds are not listening to it, it will go to the side and then, make a nice face and close its mouth and say, "Kiki, kiki, kiki, kiki." That's the kind of sound it would make, which is actually the original call of a shikra, which is a predator bird and would hunt all of the other birds around. So doing that makes us, or, shows us that this bird is not only a mimicry specialist, but it is also a very naughty bird, right? So it will invite you, but at the same time, it will scare you away. Now, this bird is also given the name king crow. Why is it a king crow? Because crows are actually known to mob other birds and scare away other birds. But this bird at the same time would scare even a crow. So that's why it's actually called the king crow. So it's a very, very interesting bird to know and observe around you. Remember, all the birds that I'm showing you around are currently commonly seen around in Tapovan and throughout the subcontinent of India itself. Moving to the next slide. Well, everyone knows this very common bird, the national bird of India, is it right? Yes.
We have a lot of them in Tapovan.
Very good. You all have a lot of them in Tapovan, right?
Yeah.
Now, remember, we all like to differentiate between the male and female everywhere we go when it comes to birds. So that's why we call the male bird peacock while the female bird peahen. But the actual name of this bird, you want to try and use the official name that is given to the bird, right? Because it probably likes to be introduced by its official name and not its pet name. So the bird's name is actually Indian peafowl. So next time you want to avoid saying, "Oh, I can see a peacock here." Instead of that, you want to say, "Oh, that's the Indian peafowl there." So Indian peafowl male or the Indian peafowl female, right? Now, can someone try and mimic the sound of the Indian peafowl? Okay, we have a legendary person in house. That was absolutely fabulous when it comes to mimicking the peafowl. But some of you all may not know exactly how to mimic it. Don't worry, by the end of the day today, you will all know how to make the sound of the peafowl. Okay, so for that, I'm going to relate you to one of my favorite stories. It's a true story. I had my colleague whose name was Ayon De. He's a very good friend of mine, and it was his birthday. Unfortunately, I had come from a nature trail and I was late to wish him happy birthday. So I thought of, calling out to him in a very different way so that, he feels a bit special. So what I did was I held my nose. I tried to, make nasal sound, tilt my head a bit and call out loudly his name. And then I discovered that was actually the sound of the peafowl, right? So what I want you all to do right now is try and turn on your videos, try and unmute yourselves and make the same action that I'm trying to do. Okay, let's try and do this together. Okay, hold your nose, tilt your head a bit. Okay, and loudly, let's call out to our friend. Ayo! Awesome. So you all know how to make the sound of Indian football. It's a very easy way to make the sound. Now I think probably next time when we meet, everyone is going to tell hi to me that Ayo! Ayo! So that's how I'm going to be introduced the next time. So I hope you all enjoyed making those sounds. So do try and practice these sounds around you so that it gives you a more thrilling experience and you explore the birds in a better way, right? Moving on to the next one. Aren't these birds very cute?
Owlet.
Right? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The owlets, right? This one is called the spotted owlet. Again, can be seen in Tapovan. Very cute looking bird, very small. Now, why they're called owlets is because their sizes are of an actual owlet. So that's baby owls. Their sizes are actually of baby owls. But these, what you're seeing right now, are actual adults. So because the adults are also the size of babies, so their term for that particular bird is given as owlet itself. So these are spotted owlets because they have nice spots around on their forehead. So they are called spotted owlets. And usually they nicely like to cuddle up together. And when they group together and they sit together in a group, they're called a parliament. Just like a group of crows is called a murder, a group of owls are called a parliament, right? They're absolutely cute to see. They're absolutely cute to watch throughout the day. And you may be lucky to see actually 1 to actually 4 of them together on one branch itself, right? Now, why I've highlighted about owls is because a culture that we all enjoy, like to celebrate this particular festival of Diwali every year. Owls are actually sacrificed during Diwalis because of black magic and because, for ritual means, right? We like to sacrifice them because people say that, oh, if you capture this owl and kill its head or, kill it or burn it in fire or chop off its head, you may end up getting wealthy. All your problems will disappear. So people actually kill a lot of these owls every year, especially during the festival of Diwali, right? And this is very common in parts of Delhi, Tamil Nadu, commonly seen around, right? Although the population is completely stable, there's no problem in the population, you can see a good number of it. But why do we fall for these myths when we can use our common sense? Our common sense tells us that, if we kill a bird, you're not going to get rich. So why should we kill a bird? And there is absolutely no need to harm a bird itself, right? So remember, some things that you can actually make a difference sitting at your home is one phone call. I've learned something about owls today. And that's how you can, try and spread that message and make your friends more aware about this itself, right? Because there are a lot of folklores which India likes to cherish with birds. And you want to use the right folklores. Example that, we associate rains when it comes to peafowls. It's a brilliant folklore. We all love to dance together. So same way, there are some sensitive things that we want to try and cover as well. And then this very beautiful owl.
Are these the ones that turn their heads 360 degrees also?
So owls, again, thank you for highlighting that. Owls don't turn their heads 360 degrees. They are vertebrates. That is, they have a vertebra, they have a spinal cord, they have a spinal column itself. And if they turn their heads 360 degrees, their bones will break, right? So they can't go like a merry-go-round. But what they can do, unlike any other animal, is rotate their head to up to about 270 degrees, right? Now, 270 degrees is quite a lot. We can't even probably do 90 degrees, right? So that's probably very interesting of any owl that you may end up seeing. And that's mainly because owls don't have a great eyesight, but they use their ears in order to hear different sounds. So they are very, very sensitive when it comes to their hearing abilities. Now, this particular owl, which is called the barn owl, is quite big in size and has a heart-like face. Now, this bird is very interesting is because it's nocturnal and it silences all the birds around it to say that my human friends are sleeping now. Please don't disturb them and I can hunt peacefully as well because I'm a biological pest controller or a rodent controller. So rodents are often considered as pests. Now these are biological pest controllers. When I say biological pest controllers, they naturally hunt down rats and mice. So they are actually the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that we can say in terms of controlling any particular problem around us, right? So these birds are very special because they make these very interesting sounds as well. And when they fly, you can't hear their wing beat at all. So like how we can hear pigeons while flying par 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 karke, you can't hear a barn owl when it flies because it's silent and has noise resistant wings itself. Now, when this bird makes sound during the night time, you may actually hear a sound something like shh, shh. That's the kind of sound that the barn owl makes. So it's actually trying to silence all the bird friends that it has to say that my human friends need to sleep peacefully, so don't disturb them, right? Now, moving on to some understanding on the beak and feet of birds. Okay, I'll quickly just sum up the beak and feet in birds. So birds have different types of beaks. There are 10,000 birds in the world. You have about 1350 birds in India itself. So that's close to about 13% of the bird population. And interesting aspect is each of these birds have different type of beak and different type of feet. Based on those beaks and feet, you are able to understand what the bird actually feeds on and what is the habitat of that particular bird, right? So just understanding the beak and feet, a simple example, how to differentiate between the beak of a woodpecker and the beak of a kingfisher. Now they may both look very simple and similar, but a woodpecker feeds on insects like ants, but a kingfisher feeds on fish, insects, snakes, frogs, all of them. So for this, I need you to do this one activity where you imagine your left palm is a tree and your right palm is more like the beak of a kingfisher. Okay, so what you're supposed to do, imagine the kingfisher is drilling onto the tree. So something like this, right? Are you feeling the pain on the kingfisher's beak? Everyone, you can try and do this. Are you feeling pain on the kingfisher's beak? Yes or no? A bit?
No, sir.
No. Then try and do a bit harder. Then you may feel a bit of pain.
If you bang it, this hurts a bit.
Yeah, just bang it. You may feel a bit of pain in your tip of your fingers. Now that is kingfisher's beak because it's more like a dagger-like beak or a knife-like beak. But what you do is if you just simply bend it a bit, right? Curve it a bit or bend it a bit, and then try and smash the tree. You may feel the pain on the bark of the tree. You won't feel it on the beak. Now that's why, because the woodpecker's beak is chisel type, and that enables the bird to smash open a bark in order to feed on insects. So that's how you can differentiate between kingfisher and woodpecker beaks, right? So you know what they may feed on as well. Now, doves and pigeons, they have a straightforward, simple kind of generalist kind of beak so that they can feed on fruits, can feed on grains mainly, and sometimes insects itself, because a lot of birds love to feed on insects because they obtain a lot of proteins from these birds, from these insects, okay? And then sparrows have a triangular kind of beak. So sparrows and finches, they will have a triangular kind of beak, more to break open seeds and nuts as well. So it is again a type of bird that would feed on nuts and grains, but with a different type of beak. So birds have adapted in such a way and evolved in such a way where their beak functions for specific reasons, and they have different techniques like how they can hunt and they can use their beak for specific food purposes. And then coming to the feet of woodpeckers. So woodpeckers, barbets, you have birds like nuthatch and parakeets. All of them have similar kind of feet where they have 4 toes. 2 of the toes are in the front and 2 of the toes are in the back. So this gives them an easier way to actually climb different trees. So you may never see a pigeon actually climb a tree vertically, but a woodpecker or a barbet or a parakeet may actually climb because it has 2 toes in the front and 2 toes at the back to balance it out. 80% to 90% of the birds have the same type of feet that you may see in pigeons, crows, babblers, sparrows, all of them. And that is mainly a perching or a simply sitting kind of feet. Okay, so that kind of feet will basically enable them to perch or sit at different places, and they will have 3 toes in front and 1 toe at the back for simple support. So this will make them simply sit at different places or perch in different places. And then birds that usually swim across and be around wetlands or water bodies, example, goose, ducks, pelicans, all of these birds will have something like a webbed kind of feet, right? Just like the webbing we know about in Spider-Man, same kind of web that we can see in the feet, which gives them an easy ability to actually swim and simply slap the water surface so that they can swim easier and faster. So that's the kind of feet that they may have. So if any time you actually end up seeing any of these feet, you may be able to actually guess what that kind of bird is and what the kind of habitat of the bird is. And why I'm highlighting ostrich, because it's not really an Indian bird, but you might have seen them in photos and videos and probably even in real life, right? Now, ostrich is the only bird in the world which actually has only 2 toes. Rest all birds have 3 to 4 toes. Just like we have 5 fingers, all birds have either 3 to 4 toes, but ostrich is the only bird in the world which has only 2. And they're nice fat ones, which enables the bird to actually run faster, right? Because it's a bird that can't fly. It uses its feet in the most powerful way so that it can actually hunt any particular thing or gives stability to the bird because it's the largest bird in the world as well, right? Moving on to the next, what can you do as individuals, right? Now, one of the biggest threats one may notice around, or probably something you may be practicing, is feeding birds, right? Now, feeding birds in our cultural times, all our parents, all our grandfathers, and everyone in the country actually believes that feeding birds is something that is very positive. It's a good value that we are bringing into our culture, right? So why is feeding birds actually a threat, right? So the thing is that because we've been given this cultural value from Britishers itself that we should be feeding birds, we've been continuing that, bringing it into our festivities, bringing into our own culture, whether we are Hindu, Muslim, or any religion, right? Everyone feeds birds throughout India itself. Now, this is a very big problem, especially because there are birds that are not native to India. And that is the most common bird that you can see around, that is your Indian rock pigeon. That's actually a bird that was never found in India, but it was a bird that was got to India by the Britishers, and mainly for communication reasons, because they would send letters everywhere around. And because we've been practicing that thing of feeding birds, where we keep feeding pigeons so they've grown a bit more fat, you've multiplied the population of pigeons, right? Now, some people may say that, feeding pigeons is actually a good thing, right? So this is my personal opinion I would like to bring, that we should not be feeding birds. Now, why? There are certain reasons. One is because birds have their natural functions that they bring to the ecosystem. Some of them are seed dispersers, some of them are pollinators, some of them are insect controllers, rodent controllers, all of that, right? And some of them just like to enjoy natural food itself, right? So what is happening is non-native species or your invasive species like the pigeons are growing their population size. And because we are feeding birds, pigeons keep coming there. And the local species like sparrows are not seen more clearly or often in urban spaces, because pigeon is more like the dada or the gunda of the area, and will be like, oh, it's my feeding time now, so please don't have your, let my family members, wife, brother, sister, grandfather, grandmother, everyone eat first, and then if there is little amount of food, you can eat. So sparrow, bichara, choto sa bird, very small bird, pawam, what should it do? It can't feed, so it is simply shooed away from there. That is one reason. Second reason, birds end up getting diseases such as angel wings, which inverts the skeleton structure of a bird itself. And that is because they are fed grains, wheat, bread, which is not a part of their natural diet. Apart from that, in the same space where you actually feed birds like pigeons, there are birds like other birds that come and feed there, like your black kite, sparrows, doves. So it's a complete disease pool that is there, because you will see rats, you will see dogs, you will see cats, squirrels, everything feeding off the same thing, right? So there's a disease pool that is created. Not only that, pigeons, actually their poop contains a very deadly virus and bacteria which it carries around with itself, right? Now what happens is, everywhere that we drop food, right, for the pigeon won't eat instantly, but it will fly first and then eat, right? And the thing about pigeons are that wherever they eat, they poop over there itself. So what is happening is, when we go and feed the bird gets scared and flies away. So in that process, the dust that is accumulated is a mixture of the food, is a mixture of the poop of that particular pigeon, and that leads to us inhaling those deadly diseases. And mark my words, there is actual proof and documented theories where pigeon poop is known to be deadly in terms of carrying that virus, and there are people who have died. And I'm not talking people who are in their 80s or 90s, people who are even 55, 40-year-olds who have actually died because of inhaling that particular disease or bacteria or virus that you may see in pigeons. So it's important that if you wish to contribute or try and help pigeons or try and help the birds around you, you want to try and offer them water. There's no harm in offering them water, right? That's not going to cause any particular harm majorly, right? Some may think that, oh, you're making them dependent again. It's better than making them dependent on food, because feeding them is more like a scheme. Just imagine Modi Sarkar tomorrow is coming to your house and saying that y'all don't need to prepare your food. You don't need to, cook anything. Tomorrow, every day, you're going to get morning, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, all of that 4 times a day. You're going to get pizza, cheese burst pizza with, a lot of Coke, a lot of Pepsi, and 500 rupee notes daily. What will we do? Wow, it's a fantastic scheme. We are going to take that. So same mentality even pigeons will have, because they want to conserve their energy. For their energy, for them, the most important thing is energy that they want to conserve. For us, our most important thing is health and money, that we all, practically thinking, we all like to conserve money and our own health we like to take care of, right? So if someone compensates that and provides us with the benefit where we don't need to worry about money and health, or don't need to worry about that energy and effort that we put, we're going to buy that scheme, right? We're going to take care of that scheme because it's absolutely free. It's a bonus for us. So same thing, a lot of these birds are getting dependent upon and getting used to. So we need to practice and speak to more people to help them understand that feeding birds is more like a disaster. We don't want to end up carrying back diseases or causing another pandemic situation, right? So what you can do is offer them water. You may want to try and plant native trees around if you can, so that they may come and pollinate in your garden around, or may feed on the fruits and disperse the seeds around. So you're contributing to the ecosystem itself, right? And then lack of education, as I said. So what you may want to do is, if you are interested in wanting to take a further step into, educating someone, can pick up the phone, speak to them about this, or you can simply draw. If you like to draw, you can simply draw, take out a cutting, draw on it, any common bird that you can see, simply punch 2 holes, tie a thread, and put it on a branch around. So anyone who's going on a morning walk can see, oh, I can see this particular bird around too, right? So it's a one way where you're trying to contribute as a citizen scientist and probably make that difference there. If you like to observe birds around and you want to document it like a citizen scientist, you may also want to try and download the application on your mobile, which is found in Play Store. It's called the eBird mobile app. You can simply learn about that app itself and try and document the birds around in Tapovan itself, right? So become an educator. Don't just be a bird watcher, but try and become an educator, try and make the difference. Just pick up the phone, speak to someone. Oh, I've learned something about birds like this. You can try and do this around you itself. So spread the message. So anytime you want to try and thank someone, you can try and thank them using the scheme of trying to communicate with 3 more people, or tell them to communicate what you've learned with 3 more people, and see that tomorrow your India is going to be more proud of you and generate more citizen scientists around you, right? I think that's all I wanted to share more about the common birds around you. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope I was not too boring. I see that the participant numbers are the same. So
Thank you, because we feed the birds, We have in Gujarat, we have a culture of feeding the birds, and especially the pigeons, they make our house, like, our gallery, that veranda, whatever you call it, that is a maternity home for them.
yeah.
So there are 22 birds flew from there. So now I have to think over.
And all birds,
Fine and fit. So anyway,
and all birds usually have a specific breeding season where they actually mate with their partners, right? But unlike all the other birds, the pigeons actually mate throughout the year.
Yes,
So
yes.
every other week they may mate. So that's why the population keeps increasing. Why? Because, they know there's so much food around them.
Think of cleaning that place again. Another this egg will be there.
Yes.
Really disgusting, So somehow we got rid of it.
Kaustubh, kindly transfer the host back to me. In fact, we all have a feeling that we have just walked out of an aviary. Excellent presentation you have made, and you have also given us a lot of inputs to follow, and so that we can, we have quite a few bird watchers in Tapovan, and they will definitely do all that you have told them to do, and let's hope that we'll be able to identify both birds and get more knowledge. So thank you very much for the session. And now we can have question answer session. Anybody willing to ask questions, give opinions, observations, please unmute your mic, announce your name and go ahead, please.
Hello, Nirmala Gopalakrishnan. See, we have peacocks here. You must be knowing it. Normally we feed with boiled rice. Is it right?
No, any kind of feeding would make the bird dependent on you. And it's not only the peacock that may come. As I mentioned, you may see pigeons and other birds also coming there. So it can be a disease pool again. So you want to avoid, feeding peacocks at all.
But it
or
gives
the right
the
term
sound.
that we
See, daily, if we don't give, it will stand there and give sound. Unless we give, it will not go.
Yeah, so it's okay. Let it stand.
It is habited.
So just imagine like it's a spoiled kid around, or it's an over pampered child that is wanting chocolate every day, right? So if I was a child and if I'm coming to you every day, mommy, please give me chocolate, please give me this and that, will you give me every day? One day you will give me, every day you will not give me, right? So that's the same thing. You want to try and ensure you practice with the peafowls around.
Hi, good evening, Kaustubh. I'm amazed at your knowledge.
Good to see you.
All of us Tapavanites, Kaustubh first came to Tapavan almost 7-8 years ago.
10 years back.
10 years ago, Sujata corrects me. And at that time, he was a student studying birdology, if I may use that term. And I'm amazed at your knowledge, and I think what you've told people about feeding birds hasn't come any time too late. It's never too late to stop feeding birds and allow them to grow in their natural habitat. I think everybody will take heart to what you have said and follow those ideals. We all wish you a great career ahead and a lovely time. And on behalf of everybody at Tapovan, I invite you to come more often and spread your knowledge of birds to all of us. I leave it back to Subbu to continue with the questions and answers.
We have taken some time to learn to feed the peacock. Now we need to learn to shoo them away.
So I think all our years we practiced a lot of learning, right? Now it's, I think, a bit of time, like I think even Amma likes to say this, it's about time that we also start unlearning things, right? And that's when the art of different exposure will come into play.
Absolutely. Yes, Sujata, go ahead.
Hi, Kaustubh.
Sujata, go ahead. Mic unmute பண்ணிட்டு சொல்லுங்க.
Kaustubh, Argarajin was telling, I'm really surprised to see Kaustubh talking so much of detail and so informative. I'm very happy about this. Let him continue this passion which he's been having for the past so many years. I'm
Thank
so
you,
happy.
thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
I
much.
hope we'll have an opportunity for you to talk to us about wild animals also on our next
Definitely,
session.
soon. Hi, Patti.
அந்த பாம்பை பத்தி ஒரே ஒரு வரி சொல்லிடுறேன் கௌஸ்துப்.
Oh, okay. So,
பாம்பு feed பண்றதை பத்தி.
yeah, so I think Patti is asking about, I told her about one thing where we should not be feeding snakes. So I think the same thing is applied when it comes to snakes, but in a different way. So during the festival of Nag Panchami, which we all like to celebrate, we often keep pal outside. We often keep milk outside for milk. We offer milk to snakes so that they will come and drink milk, right? But to understand, snakes are actually reptiles. They are not mammals. Mammals are the only animals that can actually digest milk, apart from certain birds which produce their crop milk. So mammals are the only ones that can actually digest milk. Now, milk is actually lactic acid. So for a reptile like a snake, it's completely an introduced kind of food which they have never seen, and it's more like poison for them if they try and have it. Now you may wonder that, oh, I've offered milk to this snake, but the snake has, gone and drank milk and went off from there. It may happen so because snakes may not have a great eyesight, right? But what they may think is what you're offering is probably liquid, so it's maybe water for them. So they may go and drink that thing, imagining that it is water. But when they drink it, it's more like poison. So when it goes into the body, they will simply puke out and they die eventually. There is no chance of that snake to actually survive.
This is Krishnan, P.R. Krishnan.
Yes.
It was a very interesting presentation because in my family there are 3-4 bird watchers. Because I myself do not know what is bird watching. So today I watched some birds. Thank you for that. But what I request you to make visit Tapovan regularly, but not flying visit like your feathered friends.
Definitely, I will try and make many of our visits.
You are not a feathered friend. You should be a staying friend. Okay.
Definitely.
Krishnan is used to watching a different type of a bird. I am with you, Krishnan.
Very else, Kekrela? Anybody else?
Sampath here.
Srikant?
Yes, Usha.
Yeah, interesting, very interesting. We learned today. So one more thing I want to know is I think the cuckoos at the midnight, they make a huge sound. Why is it like many days? It's like one shouts from one side, then the other reply. It's like around 1:30, 2:30, like that. People say it's because of the light. Is it so?
No, it can be any particular behavior. It can be, sometimes they may feel romantic, late night, just like some of us may feel. So they may also feel romantic late night. So they'll call out to their partner, or they may, actually feel hungry, that I want to, have some food, because it's a midnight craving that they may have. Or it can also be that there may be a predator around, so they want to, try and call. Or it may also just be because there is no disturbance around at that time. So they are practicing the way they can actually make sounds better. So no one is disturbing them during that time. So they are the only ones calling out at that time. So that is also a possibility.
Okay, thank you.
Only one thing I wanted to know, just for humor, not a question. Whenever somebody bluffing or somebody is trying to beg you for a ride, you say you tell it to the birds. What's the meaning of that?
Sorry, I didn't get you there.
Somebody is making noise.
Sridhar, mic when you applique hoga.
We say when we don't believe somebody what they say, we say you tell it to the birds.
Yeah, so I have had a lot of people listen to me when I tell them don't feed the birds. So they often come and tell me that, you go tell the birds not to, be fed, or, not to have their that food. So they'll probably listen to you, "Tu pagal hai kya? You are mad or what?" So you'll always get those kinds of negative and positive comments also. So today I've seen, a lot of people say, "Oh, excellent presentation, very nice." Some of them will say, "Arey, what a waste of time. I know these common birds, useless only this Kaustubh is, nothing nice is told me." So it is important that you take all kinds of responses and critiques and positive feedbacks as well, right? But when you are wanting to be an educator, you want to try and make that difference. You want to try and tell whatever you can, and whatever you can try and explain, right? Now you can't forcefully make someone understand. So I can't tell you, Krishnan sir, please, you have to listen to me, and you have to not feed birds. You have to stop feeding birds. Otherwise, from tomorrow, I'm not coming to Tapovan. I'm not going to listen to you ever, right? I can't put those conditions and do blackmailing with you. As an educator, you need to be humble, you need to be carefree, you need to understand the sensitivity of the topic and talk to the person in a calm way. You can't say you have to, do this, then only you will listen, then only you can stay here, or then only you are my friend. Otherwise, go from here, don't talk to me like that. You can't be like that. If you don't want to listen, okay, that is your wish. You try going about with whatever you like. I am not that activist that I will stand on to my decision of, you have to do this then. So it's important that you try and take up something of that, where you communicate as much as you can, try and convince them as much as you can. If they don't understand, you let them be, and they will probably learn moving forward.
Nandakumar sir,
I wanted to know what is the basis of that. Tell it to the birds. That the basis of that English phrase. That's why I asked.
Okay.
Hello.
Nandakumar sir is an avid bird watcher. He might want to ask something.
Not that I'm professionally a bird watcher, but I got interest in all birds and butterflies and other things. I'm very fortunate to be in Tapovan to see the the flora and fauna, especially the variety of butterflies and birds also, which I very rare sight in Chennai. I can only see crows and near proximity. So seeing the peacock, peafowl, I can say that you would give a different technical name. Of course, I read a lot about that below Iradinath and other things. I mentioned to your grandmother. It's always fascinates me to read about the world life, like Jim Corbett, My India, and all the thing. These people really lived with the thing and documented whatever that they feel. But bird watching is something on the softer line, and it gives a lot of pleasure, and at the same time, a lot of tranquility to you also. And in the process, you get involved in this thing, especially regarding food habits and other things. Now we found in Tapovan there is larger growth of the cats. What they just breed like a dozen, and since most of the people leftover food is given, they never ever go for a hunt, and they always roam around our place and make it a mess. So in that sense, what we feel know that we are only spoiling them, where they naturally have the tendency to go for search for its food and get it. So to that extent, we are spoiling the species, and better left it to their habitat so that they are also happy on that. And you have just introduced.
Also, what I saw in Tapovan is that because we kept feeding birds, there are a lot of cats around there. Now, cats are one of the biggest predators to a lot of these birds. So if we keep feeding them, you're going to see more of them, more of dogs probably come and chase down these birds.
Yeah, especially you said that pigeon carry virus and other things. It's better we just watch it in a distance and enjoy it. Of course, quail, no, especially in the evening, and the twin birds make a sweet sort of thing. One give a sort of some communication, and another replied with its own sort of thing. I just record it in my voice recorder and just keeping it in my phone. Whenever I feel that enjoying, just to play it again. So in that way, living away from the city and places like this, it helps you to get connected to that species. So you've given a rare insight on all that birds, which normally know, but not know this well, like its beaks and its how its claws are made. You said make a drawing of what you see. I just
Fantastic.
also draw as you make the presentation.
Fantastic. Love that, sir. Fantastic.
Some of the thing you were just
He's
made.
a very good artist.
Absolutely, I can see that. That's absolutely amazing.
No, as I just saw that thing, because I'm not a good artist, but I can make a certain resemblance of what I saw.
I can see your observation skills are absolutely bang on, fantastic. So thank you very much for actually showing that. So
Actually.
So what actually happens is, because I know I've given you all too much information on different birds. So this was, I think I managed to document this when I was there in Tapovan. I saw all these birds around. So there are more. I could have spoken more about all the different birds, but it would just be bombarding with information. And even though I've managed to share information on 20 birds, I know for a matter of fact, probably just 3 or 4 birds you all may remember. And for now, that's also okay. You just observe them better, and you can always refer back to this recording and see the different types of other birds as well.
Yeah, that's correct. Normally, I make a record of the main speaker thing, to get connected to. When you talk, you can just talk on the subject where what they discussed. So they also feel sort of be in line with what is going on. So in that way, it's a very dry subject. You made it very interesting with your very good observation for this PowerPoint presentation. Hope to see you talk on wildlife and other sort of things also. Of taking a butterfly itself is maybe a one full session. Yeah. I'm also interested in butterfly and the various butterfly, how it's breed and where it can be grown and all these things. So whatever your observation, your experience, you can share with us in future. Thanks for that presentation.
Sure, I would be happy to do another session on butterflies or snakes.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll be happy to help you all in that as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we are running short of time. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have one question.
Main lady coming up. Okay, welcome.
So usually, Kaustubh, in the month of January, when we celebrate Pongal, the third day is Kanu Pandigai, and I'm sure you've seen it at home also. We make the rice balls, colored balls, and then say, Kaka ku Kalyanam, Kurvi ki Simandam. What do you have to say on that? Like these practices, as they are, very religious and cultural practices. Can you highlight more on that?
Oh, the cultural practices have gone to next level when it comes to Indian cultures. Not that I'm saying anything wrong about the culture. I'm absolutely happy the way we celebrate, our stories and the cultures that we practice. We are very, very rich in our diversity, but the way we associate them with animals need to be a bit more updated and needs to be free from different myths. So example, there are people in parts of Assam who have got 2 frogs married. Now, how does that even make sense when you're getting frogs married? What are they going to, help or ensure our health or life or the area around gets richness, right? There's absolutely no understanding. So we can do all the culture that we want. We can practice as much as, that we want within our community with, external communities as well. But we don't need to involve animal practices with it. Right, so the same way there are people who've cared for each other's birds and have got them married. There's absolutely no sense, right? So if we want to practice our, rituals for Pongal, considering the question you addressed, you want to try and offer that, maybe 2-3 urindas of those to maybe God or any particular, worshipping place itself, rather than keeping it outside for animals to try and feed. Maybe you may want to give that to a domestic animal like a cow, so that it probably helps. And cow is again an animal that we celebrate Pongal. It's an animal that you can associate to that particular festival. So you can offer it to cow, right? So see, domestic animals are known to live amongst us, are known to be dependent upon us, right? So we don't want to make wildlife domesticated. So you want to try and do whatever you can to keep both of them separate.
And on a lighter note, Kaustubh, we don't need to go as far as Assam. Even in Chennai, 2 donkeys were married away to get more rains. They got so much rain, now they are searching the 2 donkeys to give them a divorce. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we now move into the final session. Will be a vote of thanks be proposed by Mr. Subramanian, Secretary Tapovan. Subramanian, sir, kindly unmute and go ahead.
Am I audible?
Very much loudly and clear, sir.
Okay, I think I need to talk the least about our Kaustubh lecture, but all the same, as you have entrusted me with the responsibility of proposing a vote of thanks, I must thank everybody who has been a part and parcel of this. First of all, lots of thanks to Madam Sudha and Madam Devaki Mami and Subramaniam himself for having made this lecture possible. And the prayer song on Acharya by Nirmala Mami was a great start. And Uma Madam gave a very good introduction of the person who has written a book, published a lot of articles, and running organization. Anyway, as we have seen him earlier at Tapovan, I was normally associating this ornithologist with the person in Bombay who is a very old man, who always, ornithologist means was considered an old man. We are pleasantly surprised to see you, Kaustubh, a young guy who is a great ornithologist. People ask how the lecture would be today. I told them that it is a responsibility to make it interesting, and you did a wonderful job. You need not have been very much concerned about the language you are going to communicate, because we are going to talk about our friends who have got different languages and we are trying to understand them. Tamil and English are only two of those many languages that was part and parcel of it. And four things you nicely covered. I think you must have spent, unless you have been giving these lectures pretty often, you must have spent a few hours in putting these four groups: habitat, season, food, and time. I think that helped us go through the total lecture in a structured way. And of course, you cannot have any expectation when you want to do bird watching. The purpose of bird watching is watching itself, not to get any benefit out of it, unless you are going to be a bird shooter. Okay, and you differentiated a lot of birds. We don't know the difference between the house crow and jungle crow, but you said crows are bad women. That's not the case really in Tamil Nadu. Whenever the crows used to make noise at our home, where I grew at Tanjore, they always used to predict it. Some of the well-wishers, our relatives, are going to come home. And crows always visit us as our forefathers who bless us. That is what is the general belief. More often than not, we have never eaten food any day without offering food to the crow. That has been the part. But unfortunately, countries like Singapore have fully eradicated these species. God knows why, and how they manage the whole city without any scavengers whatsoever. That's their problem, if at all it is. And you talked about, we never knew the erget is the one who has got a nice travel on the cattle. We just think that is yet another sparrow going in that. This bird must be a smart cookie. And he talked a lot about the various type of cuckoos, and we know the difference between various parrots now. And you talked about the babbler. Of course, you missed a lot of birds. Maybe before going to the wildlife, the way in which you are explaining, we require 2 more lectures of this nature, minimum, only on the birds. I will come towards the end of my Thanksgiving. What is my personal expectations? Maybe it is just a child's play for you to put things together and explain to us and walk through possible Sunday evenings enjoyment. And you talked about the Oriental magpie, and coil of different nature. And our organizer, Mr. Subramaniam, is a good mimicry talent which was brought out today. Maybe he listens a lot of this peacock and cuckoo every day over here. We didn't know that in Tamil Nadu, they are really sacrificing these owlets. We thought, we always believe, the owl is the vehicle of Goddess Lakshmi. Goddess Lakshmi travels in a chariot that is drawn by the owl. We never knew that they are sacrificing owl, celebrating Lakshmi Pujan one day, on the other side, killing the person who drags the chariot. Maybe the lady will get stuck forever and give them lot of bliss. Probably that is the belief. But fun apart, because you provided us a lot to keep the humor on, and not that the picture was anyway trying to lose its tightness or the enthusiasm. But what we expect in the future lectures, what I thought and what I have noted down, I read on behalf of people who might have also thought, we want to learn a lot about eagles, which are there throughout the world, different type of eagles. We want to know about this bird vulture, which is going to be extinct, I am told now. And we want to know about birds like pelican. We want to know about cormorant, which just goes and picks up the fish from the sea and that comes back very smartly. We also want to know about the legendary canary bird. Whether do they exist today? We don't know now, because they used to carry those days the canary birds inside the coal mine so that the sensitivity will save the miners. And we also were interested in knowing a lot about the birds that live in desert and manage to survive, as many reptiles do survive in the desert without water for ages. These are some of the things which we want to know, but we don't have the time or the patience to go through the root of each of these issues. If you are able to give the essence of whatever you have read and give it in a presentation about an hour, we will be more than happy to listen to you. We are exceptionally thankful for your time, and we wish all the best, that you succeed, and your message, lots of myths do exist about these birds in killing them. And we also, you talked about the lactic acid. We have birds which is neither a bird nor this thing like bats. There are different bats, house bats, fruit bats, which are basically mammals. You talked a lot about owls, which makes the difference with respect to the sound and manage to live. And birds survive only by the echoes they get for their flight and survive during night. These are very interesting. From whatever little one could read or glimpse of what one could get by seeing the natural geography, which we have the least patience to watch, but certainly we will have more patience to listen to you. Our best wishes. Thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for everyone who made it a very great evening today. Thank you.
Thank you, Subramanian sir, for the elaborate Thanksgiving on behalf of all the Saponites. Thank you, Kaustubh, for a valuable time. Thank you, Uma Madam, for the excellent introduction. Thank you, Nirmala Mami, for the soulful singing of the prayer. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining the show. The recording will be uploaded in YouTube tomorrow. We come to the end of the session. Unless we meet next time, is hereby wishing you goodbye, good night, and Shubh Ratri.
Thank you.